Hey guys, it's your boy Justin. Welcome back to another episode of How to
Fix This.
So, you guys may have ran into this problem yourselves with your iPad at home. You're able to charge it for a little bit, but you have to put some books under it. You got to prop it and all that. Well, as you can see, this one's in here all the way, but we've got nothing going here. And if you check our little amp meter here, we got 0 on the draw. So that is a good indicator that this port is fucked. So we're gonna use this quick testing device to see testing dock flex. So now we know. First things first, we gotta heat up the screen and carefully remove this. Well, that's never happened before. So, first things first, we gotta get this screen completely removed. In this episode, I'm gonna show you how to carefully and easily replace this charge port. Apple went above and beyond to make this so user-friendly to keep this iPad going. And so that's what we're here to do for you today. I'm gonna go ahead and set it on the hot plate here. We're running at 74 Celsius. We're gonna let it sit there for about 3 minutes. So we just do a little waiting. Y'all ain't seen it like this shit. Gotta plug the sponsor. Yeah, that's plenty hot. All right, so for this next section, you're gonna need a suction cup. You're gonna need one of these playing cards, as well as your alcohol. Woo! Now that she's good and hot, we'll go ahead and peel her up. All the cables for this iPad Air 1 rest on this side. You got the home button cable, which runs over here, as well as the 2 cables for the digitizer panel, which is the touch screen. So we're gonna power it off. And then we're gonna go ahead and get our suction cup over here. I like to start over here because it's got a nice little slit right here. It's not too thick. We just get in there like this. Now, if you go quick and you haven't heated your iPad up enough, you will crack the screen. Just trying to get enough exposure so I can then take this little card here, dip them in the alcohol, and voila. Don't worry about that. That was just the LTE antennas tearing. I'm going to orientate the screws as though I was looking at it head on. That's something I always do when I disassemble to make sure that everything goes back in its proper place. Got a little electrical tape here covering up our sweet little screw. Okay, very good. Now that we have this boy propped up, we got a couple screws we gotta take care of. I'm gonna take care of this battery connector first. I'm gonna go ahead and unscrew him. And then I'm going to unscrew these motherboard connector plate cover. Now before I go any further, I'm gonna slide this card in to this connector to inhibit current flow from transferring from the battery connector into the motherboard. That way I am safeguarded against a potential short. Get this up. This has been disconnected. One thing I always do with the LCD, because it's very hard to clean, is the second I get it out, I put it somewhere safe where there's not gonna be a lot of lint or dirt. Little treats. I'm professional, trust me. Once we rip this away, we can finally see the mother's board. Okay. All right, guys. So our objective is to get this charge port pulled out so we can safely and easily, as Apple intended, replace it. So we're gonna go ahead and start by getting this top part up. We have, again, more connector covers retained by these 3 screws. Just gonna expose the headphone jack. Remember when we had headphone jacks, guys? It's gonna expose the headphone jack connector, the front camera connector as well. Go ahead and disconnect there, and disconnect the headphone jack one there. Oh, and we got one more, some little, looks like an ambient light sensor or something. Go ahead and disconnect that. And then we got this front camera to disconnect, or back camera rather. And then as you can see with a little plastic tape here, we've got our power switch connector. So I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect, or remove this tape. The little electrical tape securing the connector in place. Extra safeguards. Good job, Apple. Grab that guy, pull him out like schmear. And then down here, it's mostly held in by tape and things. We're gonna get these 2 antennas disconnected. These are the Wi-Fi antennas. All this is just some weird ass Apple tape to look fancy. It doesn't do anything. It's just fucking tape. See this little connector here? That's attached to the loudspeaker right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove all this tape if I can, so we can expose that. I hate when it tears there. That wasn't part of my plan. And as you can see, here are the loudspeaker connectors, which they do plug into the charge port. All right, that one came out without having to lift the latch because I pulled a little hard, but it should not affect the performance. Looks like the trace is fine. Get that out. All right, now all that's left to get this guy out is a bunch of adhesive underneath the motherboard, as well as these 2 screws here at the bottom. They put these 2 screws here to secure it because, as far as the iPad goes, this part is one of the most parts that faces aggression, because a lot of the times we'll be shoving it in all kinds of ways, and you knock it off the table and it falls and the yanks the pins up, you know, that type of thing. I'm gonna go ahead and get under here. All right, see, some adhesive, and then old boy's gonna come out. Apple made this super easy and convenient. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna heat up this iPad for 3 more minutes to soften the adhesive underneath this big logic board, and then we'll get everything extracted.
3 minutes later.
All right, it's only been 30 seconds. So for the next part, we're just gonna blast it! No, but all jokes aside, that alcohol was necessary for this process. So now that we put in enough alcohol to safely and securely remove this logic board in the most professional way possible, we're gonna easily and very carefully get this charge port extracted. All right, so we are free. As you can see, we're almost free. We got this little tape here. All right, very convenient. Very, very convenient. Apple, instead of doing like what you can do, like if you're Samsung or LG or Motorola or Google or like anyone that makes computers ever, is you can use these connectors called FPC connectors. They look like this. They just go like click in and latch and it connects everything, right? Apple, so convenient, so nice, so amazing. They conveniently, let me reveal this to you. Instead of having like an FPC connector with those pins, because there's plenty of room here for that, like they totally had that room that they could have did that, but, and still kept it nice and thin, the iPad, so I don't want to hear that. They did that for the thinness, because that's bullshit. They have like all these little nice solder contact points. So we gotta use micro soldering. So very convenient, very awesome. Very doable for us. All right, now we're gonna go to the solder room. Now, for the next part, what we gonna do, we gonna take some of this. This is called electronics. All right, that can't go in the video. No. We're gonna install some of this flux on here to help flow our solder. All right, so now that I've installed quite a bit of that solder, I'm going to come in here with one of my soldering irons, gonna get it nice and hot. We got to get it up to at least probably 380. I don't even know what it's set to, but I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the filter. Nice little blob. What we're doing is we're making sure that our iron tip is nice and protected so that it'll live long. All right, so I'm using a low temp alloy right now. This low temp alloy, I'm gonna use it to bond to these contacts, which will then make it easier to remove because they currently are using a leaded solder, which requires much higher heat to remove. All right, now that I've applied low temp, what we're gonna do now is we're going to carefully heat this up. Now we don't want to overheat the motherboard, so we're gonna only go to about 390-ish. And we're gonna just hold. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna hold till we see the ribbons start to cry. Once you start seeing the smoke come up, that's when you want to breathe really deep. There we go. Now that she's nice and hot, we have carefully extracted the potato chip. All right. Gonna just give it a light little cleaning here. All right, fam. For this next section of the repair, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take the same iron we just used to apply that low temp. And what we're gonna do is remove all that low temp using this solder braid. What I'm gonna do is, I've already applied the flux. Now I'm gonna apply the iron tip against the braid, and the braid's gonna basically flow with the solder to suck off all that old solder from the original contacts. And voila,
She is done.
we're halfway done. I'm gonna remove all that old flux.
And I'm gonna get it ready for some nice new flux. I'm gonna use my pretty iron this time. This iron is like a little more fine tip, you notice. The other one was big fat.
This one's gonna be a little more precise. Just gonna get some on my tip here. All right, and now I've created nice puffy pillows. All right, so I'm gonna line up the new one. And then beautiful thing is, in order for this to work, we cannot have a single bridge. A bridge is whenever the solder blends and two contacts touch that aren't supposed to be making contact. Okay, now that I've got it kind of where I want it, what I'm gonna do is come in and try to make contact on a few of them. I just basically am trying to get it to hold its place so that I can come through and hit them all. All right, cool. I got 2 points that are holding very well, so what I'm gonna do now is get a good bit of solder on my iron. I'm gonna come over it with flux. The flux helps keep it from bridging and allows it to flow where it needs to go. Just the magic paste. Right, it's looking pretty good. Now what I gotta go do, I got each one layered with the perfect amount, is I have to go and solidify each contact. Make sure that it's making connection beneath. Now I just gotta do a little cleanup, and then what we're gonna do for this last part, we're just gonna run a quick test on it using our tester, which is awesome because we don't have to go through the whole process of putting it all back together, just to find out we still got some problems. As you can see, none of those contacts are bridging. It's nice and beautiful. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and run the tester on it now. Fail? Wait a second. Well, all right. Let's take a moment to pause. Let's just pause. See where it said fail? All right, we're running the test. Boom, we're good. All right, guys, got the tape put back over that to protect those contacts. So all we got to do is get her back together, peel this little guy off, and voila. Now we just got to get the screen installed and we'll test it all out. Get in there. Fucking get in there. Time for the battery. The moment of truth! All right, time to find out, now that we got her all fixed. The moment of truth. Oh!